Hello all you tiny beautiful people that live in my computer. My name is Finn, and welcome back to Game, the show where I talk about Pride Month because it's gay month without some of the letters. We're getting towards the end of June, so this is probably the last episode of the show for this year, unless I randomly make an LGBT video sometime that isn't in June, which is able to happen. We'll see. Today is going to be a video that is a little more controversial, I'd say, and a little more capable of having the capacity to step on toes. I have notes for this one because I'm worried about coming across in a certain way. So I've got my notes with me. Being part of one marginalized group doesn't automatically make you free of prejudices. You can support queer rights and still be harmful with your views about other groups. For example, I've met people who are under the queer umbrella, whether that be somebody who is a gay man or a lesbian woman or a trans individual or a non-binary person or whatever. And I've met these people who were under that umbrella and are super forward-thinking about that stuff, at the same time being someone who is racist. That's an issue, because not only is racism just kind of not cool, but also it undermines the importance of the, forwardness of, LGBT allyship and whatnot, because sure, you're being respectful of people's pronouns, or you are forward thinking about queer ideologies, or you are completely okay with gay marriage, and that's great, but there's a lot of people who are those things, but then they're still okay with hating on someone for the color of their skin. And that's kind of crazy to me, because of those same people are unhappy with prejudices against themselves, but then they're okay with them existing elsewhere. And it's not only queer people, there's a lot of other marginalized communities that have issues. There are members in history. I can't point to any that I personally know, but I've seen plenty online, and I've seen plenty of stuff about the past of members of certain races, such as an Asian person, having prejudices against a black person. It's not always about the queer individual when I'm speaking. I just... Being a part of a marginalized group does not protect you from the prejudices of hating on another marginalized group. Or there are gay individuals who have issues with sexism, whether that be women hating men, men hating women, somebody in the middle hating either. And that's kind of frustrating when you want to be so forward-thinking and you want to be so allied with the world and so progressive and so... I'm trying to think of another word here that I just don't have in my head. Point being, it's really frustrating whenever I want to be forward in a conversation or forward in communication or forward in just understanding someone's viewpoints, and they show me something that is super forward thinking, only to pull that away by saying something or doing something that is very anti-forward thinking. Being queer is not a substitute for empathy. Experiencing discrimination yourself doesn't automatically mean you'll understand every person's struggle. And I think that's a fairly, easy to understand subject. Also, I want to point out, at some point through this, I'll do it now, I am a queer individual. I am not only under the trans umbrella, but I'm also somebody who would describe themselves as pansexual, demisexual, something in there. I'm not a random straight cisgendered individual. So I am not trying to spread any sort of homophobia or transphobia. I'm just expressing an issue that I find with queer communities. Oppression is not a competition. One marginalized group is not more valid by dismissing or attacking another. This one I really want to point out due to the mass group of queer individuals or persons of color or women who are okay with putting down a marginalized group if it means supporting themselves, which I know sounds weird, but it is a thing. Like, there are queer people who are, for example, a queer man who will be okay with putting down transgender individuals. Personally, I know that one because I work with one. Or there is people who are under the queer umbrella who are okay with selling out the rights of other people under the queer umbrella as long as it does not affect them immediately. There are people who are completely okay with chasing down trans individuals and non-binary individuals and women while being a gay man. And that's not very cool. It's not very cool. LGBTQ plus acceptance and anti-racism are separate, issues. A person can support one while still holding their almost predatory beliefs about the other. There are plenty of people out there who are completely okay with people of other races, but hate anybody who is a homosexual or anything else under that umbrella. And vice versa, there's a lot of people who are queer and have issues with somebody because of the color of their skin. And that's not cool. That's not truly accepting. You're not being forward-thinking or progressive. You're just supporting yourself and only yourself, or you're supporting a group because you think it's okay to support them, but it's not okay to support another, which is an issue. Gender equality and LGBT acceptance are separate issues. Someone can be gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, etc., and still be sexist. That's a thing. I see it a lot with homosexual men who have a weird, aggressive feeling towards women, whether they be straight or homosexual or whatever. And it's just internalized misogyny. And I notice it a lot with the gay men, but I also notice it a lot with trans individuals because of issues with themselves or the way they grew up, where a trans woman will take issue with other trans women or cis women, and they're not trying to be predatory or aggressive. It's like an internalized misogyny. And I've noticed trans men who have issues with women after their transition because they have what I assume to be some insecurities with their history. And having issues with yourself is one thing, but taking those issues out on a group of people is really fucked. Really messed up. Queer spaces are not immune to prejudice. Racism, misogyny, transphobia, biphobia, xenophobia, ableism, and other forms of discrimination do exist within those communities. And I'm glad right here it brings up biphobia, because there's a lot of lesbians and queer men and everybody else under the umbrella who have issues with bisexuals. And it's weird. Not personally a bisexual, so I can't give my full, oh, leave us alone or anything, but it is an issue because you're hating on someone for something they can't change. That's still fucked. If you're a gay man and you have issues with somebody being a bisexual man, that is a you problem. Leave them alone. Or if you are a lesbian and you don't like bisexual women, why? What's the reason for that? I don't. It doesn't make any sense logically to me, and also it's just really discriminatory and messed up. Shared identity does not guarantee shared values. Two people may both be queer and strongly disagree on an issue of inclusion, equality, or respect. And I want to reiterate that point because I am a trans woman. Me and another woman who is transgender can have a conversation and disagree with something, and that can be okay. However, there are trans women who have internalized misogyny, and it doesn't always go out on themselves, it goes out on other people. I personally love women much more than anything else in this world, dear Lord. And I can have a conversation with a trans woman who, just for whatever reason, has an insane, issue with sexism. And that's weird. Or I can conversate with a lesbian who hates trans people. That's a thing that I can find out there. And so can you. And that's not very cool, because it's a queer person hating on a queer person for something they can't change. And whether you are straight, gay, something in the middle, whatever, it's still transphobia, it's still queerphobia, it's still a, issue that you have. Pride has always been about liberation, not exclusion. The goal is expanding freedom, not creating new groups that are looked down upon. For members of the queer community who have issues with people that are black, brown, or anything else, you are not only being dismissive of those people, you're not only being super disrespectful, you're not only being super gross and racist, you're also plain ignorant, because the people who made Pride Month a thing were black people who were under the queer umbrella, mostly people of color that were transgender. Those are the people who started Pride Month and made it this big deal and made it into a thing and got rights for you, and you're hating on them all these years later. That sounds incredibly stupid. It sounds like racism with extra steps. Internalized division weakens communities. And that's true for every community. If there's division within, it causes a rift that leads to issues on both sides. It leads to issues for everyone involved. Whether you pick a side or not, you're still getting hurt by it. Internalized division is fucked. And we shouldn't be doing that to queer communities, because we're supposed to be strong and together and accepting and loving and good for one another. So maybe don't do that. Being progressive in one area doesn't make someone progressive in all areas. People are complex and can hold both compassionate and prejudiced beliefs simultaneously. Yeah, you can be a queer ally and still have issues with people of color, or you can be someone who's completely okay with race and have issues with sexism, or you can be completely okay with the ideas of women's equality but have issues with queer people, or you could be completely okay with somebody being queer but hate someone who is trans, or you can be completely okay with you can be a trans person yourself and have issues with non-binary people, and that is not okay. It's not okay. Not cool. Accountability should apply equality. Harmful behavior does not become acceptable just because it comes from someone in a marginalized group. Just being harmed by others does not make it okay for you to go and harm others. That's a pretty good one. I think that's about that. I can close my Google Doc now. Point being, there are people in marginalized groups who have issues with other marginalized groups, and I think it's really ignorant. I think it's really messed up. I think it harms you more than you know. And I just felt like talking about it, because the other videos in this little Pride Month collection have been a little more soft-spoken, they've been a little more positive, they've been a little more just good notes about the community and good notes about the history of it and whatnot. So I felt like sitting down and talking about it in a way that has a positive message. I'm expecting this to be a good thing. I'm expecting this conversation to lead to a positive note. I'm expecting it to push people to be better, not pull them down because they have an issue. But it is a negative thing to talk about overall. For now, I'm going to end it there, because I don't really have much else I can say without just reiterating points over and over. So, there's that. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you're still here, hello. Comment down below your favorite animal, and I will give you my thoughts on said animal. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for your time, for watching, for liking, subscribing. Thank you for getting us to 1,000 subs. We're now on the road to 2,500. Whoa. Look at this. Look at this creature. Anyways, I will see you guys next time I sit down and talk into a camera for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Alright? Bye-bye.